And you could be doing those things to get you to that goal, but still thinking, oh, when I get to that goal, I will be happy. So if I just lost the weight, I'll be happy. I could say that while still working out, eating better, looking at my nutrition, but I could still be unhappy with it because of
Right.
that arrival fallacy of now
Right.
I'm here. I have arrived to what I've been looking forward this whole time. And it's not actually it. Like now I think about the next thing of
No, it is going to be the next thing because like you haven't really fixed the things that.
exactly.
Welcome to Let's Pick This Up Next Week. I'm Dee.
And I'm DJ. We're two therapists who like to dive deep into everything from mental health to politics, voting, and whatever else is going on in the world.
We're here to have real conversations about life, the issues that matter, and how it all affects us. Because let's face it, there's always something more to talk about.
Exactly. So grab your coffee, settle in, and join us as we break it all down.
We'll catch you up on the big stuff, the personal stuff, and the things you didn't even know that you needed to think about.
And when we run out of time,
we'll pick this up next week.
So DJ, what I want to talk about today is why we are constantly thinking that we're just one little tweak away from happiness and why that tweak never actually brings us the happiness we think it will. Is that something you've ever experienced or can relate to?
I can relate. Yeah.
What's like a common theme you see, especially like among our clients, where that's the idea of like, there's just one thing? Because I've got some research to back up what we see.
Well, I think with clients, they think that they can't picture being happy now. So they picture that like, if some wonderful miraculous thing happened, like maybe they got the job of their dreams or something like that would be the thing that they need to be happy.
Yeah, it's usually about, especially like that external validation of like my happiness will come from something else and I just have to wait for that.
Right.
So I came across this concept, and it is this book that just came out by John Koenig. And if you're watching on video, I'm looking over here because my second screen has the definition here. It's the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows is his new book that just came out, which I cannot wait to read. The idea, one of the words he came up with was the word justing, like Justing. And according to this Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, justing is a noun, and it's the habit of telling yourself that just one tweak could solve all of your problems. If only you had the right haircut, if only you found the right group of friends, if only you made a little more money, if only he noticed you, if only she loved you back, if only you could find the time, if only you were confident, which leaves you feeling perpetually on the cusp of a better life, hanging around the top of the slide, waiting for one little push. I thought the concept was like deliciously interesting, to give it a very weird description.
It is very interesting.
I mean, like, because it's tempting, right? And we do it all the time as humans. This idea of, if I just made a little more money, I would do all of these super smart and responsible things. Or if I just, ask for what I want, I would be so happy with all the outcome. But we don't do those things.
Right. I was thinking, you and I were talking a little bit before the episode about this concept. But what just occurred to me now is thinking like where in society does that idea come from? We always know like popular culture and stuff, but I'm thinking about like kids in school, right? And it seems like the popular kids, who's popular, who's not popular, that kind of stuff is sometimes so random. The kids aren't actually doing anything, especially in like grade school, right, to like be a popular kid. But like it's something that just like happens. And maybe there's some things based, but like kids, right, they don't have the same kind of discernment to be like this kid's popular for this reason or because their dad does this or whatever. Usually, it just seems so random. So I'm thinking that because of that, like if you, just go to school and then somehow you end up popular. Now I'm thinking of, what's the musical? It's not
Popular.
It's not,
Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Wicked. And somehow you end up just popular. That's what can happen, right? Just like something so random that can make your life better.
Yeah. And I mean, you brought up so much stuff, and I'm literally thinking of even back to, because I think it's kind of a universal thing to always think about, well, something will be better when. Like, I've heard kids say it of like, okay, well, I can't wait till, next school year starts, because then it will be a fresh start. And that's another version of justing, of like, if I could just get to the next school year, then I will be what I want to be.
Right.
And that's
And I remember
just not
that
the
popular
case.
concept, I think, resonated with me too, because when I was a kid, I moved around schools a lot. And so my hope was that when I get to the new school, I want to be, as if the new kid is ever the popular kid, but when I get to the new school, I want to be able to be popular, and I think that's an idea that's so like, if you're a popular kid, if like someone sees you, as something desirable, and then maybe that's what's tied to all of the just things. Again, like we talked about external validation and approval from others, really, because a lot of it's talking about that.
Yeah, I love that, because it's that requiring that magical other to feel okay.
Right.
And a lot of it is because like the internal work hasn't been happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
It goes into too what's called the arrival fallacy, which is a very similar concept. Like, those are sister, not twin concepts. And they're very similar, not quite the same thing, but the arrival fallacy is about like, when I get there, I'm going to just enjoy it so much and it will be perfect. But what happens when you get there is that you just think of what's the next thing, like never truly satisfied, and not in like a go-getter, don't, rest on your laurels kid, but more in that like constantly chasing happiness.
Right. And happiness can't come from external things. Some of the research I was doing earlier today was about societies. It's something I research a lot, because societal trauma is something that, when I moved from like short-term therapy, like I used to work in like treatment and, inpatient treatment, or IOP, which is short-term. So before my last job, the longest I ever saw a client was like 3 months. And now, I've been working with people for several years. And one of the things that I really noted in my change was, as a trauma therapist, who focused a lot on childhood trauma, a lot of abuse or substance abuse and that kind of stuff, and really got to see more that how societal trauma is really impacting everyone. And so I do a lot of research about society, and I know, and I'm an activist, and I think about like how we can always make our society better. And so is like, what is the society that would actually be like, where everyone can live in harmony, right? But the thing is that like, no one person like creates society, right? And even the people who seem to make all of the decisions, like whether it's the billionaires or whoever, like those people aren't even happy, so like, when you look to like, who are the people that is happy, and who are the people that can get everything they need from the inside, probably most of those people are quiet and keeping to themselves anyway, because they don't need all the external validation. But what I'm saying is, I don't think there's a lot of models. We don't have that in our society. Our society isn't modeled to not do the just, right? Like, capitalism thrives on like getting the next best thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It wraps into this whole idea of like capitalism, perfectionism, like this need for like, I don't know, this need to be in a constant state of like productivity. So like, I'll give an example of, if someone says, well, if I just lost the weight, then, I'll feel better. It's like, okay, so that's justing, right? And that doesn't mean that this person isn't taking an active step towards losing weight, but they're kind of basing that happiness on that. Once I do this thing, then I'll just lose the weight, and then I can wear the bathing suit, and then I'll want to be out and be confident, because it's based on this idea of like chasing perfection, and like perfection doesn't exist. Like, we live in a social media world where people don't post the in between. They post the just. They post the got my bikini body back, and not the I still hate myself even though I have this bikini body, because I thought I'd feel so much better here, but I don't.
Right. And the growth comes in the work. And sometimes it doesn't even help you feel better, even if you've done the work. Because with your weight example, I'm thinking about like how popular Ozempic and Wegovy and the other one. And I know I have a lot of people on my caseload that are using those things, and like it makes it easier, right? So like someone who like, you know, walked like 5 miles every day and cut their calories and like had to fight their food cravings and all the stuff that someone might do, that could attribute to some personal growth. That maybe like you do feel a difference when you reach there because look at this and all the hard work I did and what you learn from it versus like, you know, it's a little bit easier. And I've not used Ozempic but I do know that the weight comes off faster. And I think that just again, like you get to a point and you're like, we were talking about right before the episode about the instant gratification, you know, and I think like that's the thing is like our society brings us more and more things to get to the instant gratification, which that means when you reach the thing, instant gratification doesn't last anyway. You have the thing, now what?
Exactly. And that's where like something like using like a semaglutide type, whatever, like no shade, like I want to be clear, absolutely no shade if somebody is using that tool as a weight, absolutely. Or like to manage your diabetes, to manage PCOS. If it's working for you and you're working with your medical provider, amazing. 10 out of 10. It is. I do often see when it's that, like to continue on that weight example, like when people, they call it like Ozempic face, right? Like they just keep losing more and more weight because the goalposts move. The closer you get to what you thought was your goal, it's just, you know, it becomes instead of, okay, I just want to lose 10 pounds. Now it's, well, now that I've lost 8, I can lose 20, right? And now that I've lost 15, I want to lose 30, right? Because it's just pushing that goalpost again, thinking that happiness is just on the other side, but it's not.
Right. And I think like when the medications first came out too, it was for like people who have like tried to lose weight because of their blood sugar, because of whatever body stuff, you know, that their medical reasons that they've struggled to lose the weight. You know, I think that's what the drugs were intended for. But now, like you're saying with social media and all that stuff, like people who, you know, haven't had, you know, chronic problems with like weight loss or, you know, that kind of stuff are like, oh, let me get this. It's the quick fix, you know, to lose. And you're not supposed to, you know, I know that wasn't recommended for that, but definitely it's still, people are still getting it. You can sign up online and get it. So, you know, it's that. What I mean is for people who are like just using it as a quick, like I'll take off 10 pounds. Here, I'll do the Ozempic.
Yes. And I think especially body image gets so closely tied into self-worth. And I think that's why it's so dangerous. Like it's not just about, because I think I read somewhere, exactly. Like I read somewhere that yo-yoing 10 pounds is worse than just sitting at 10 pounds heavier. Like it's just harder on your body. But I don't think society tends to think that way. It's just becomes what's external. Because we judge people a lot on the external. And that's why it's so easy to look at this state of almost, like this constant state of almost.
Right. Go ahead. You're going to the next point. Yeah. No.
I was scrolling to see if I got all the points. Do you think this is like just our recent generations? I mean, we're different generations, obviously.
You and I,
I was born in the 19th century, but not the, or the 19th.
You were born in the 20th century. I'm like, I wasn't even born in the 19th century.
I was born in the 1900s. My bad.
Right, you were born in the 1900s.
But it was the 1990s, so we're a little, you know. But
yes.
But what do you notice? Do you think it's just kind of today's world, or do you think this has kind of always been there?
No, I don't think it's just today's world. I think that, and I'm reminded of it more and more, like when, you know, when I watch movies and stuff from like the 1970s, or I just watched the movie about the Kent State shootings with you know, the protest during the Vietnam War, and like so many of the themes in that movie, which that took place like in 1973, the year I was born. You know, that's 50 or, you know, 52 years ago, or no, it took place in 1970. That did, because it's 55 years ago for the shootings. It took place in 1970 anyway. Like so many of the themes are the same, right? And I think like, you know, I think we have more attention on stuff now because of social media, because of the internet, that like things that we think are like it's so much worse now, or just because we have so much more exposure.
Yep. Yep.
Uh-huh.
No, I agree. I mean, I was literally at work talking to some people, and they were talking about how their daughter's friend got hung up doing this thing, and there's pictures of it, and it's all around school, and how awful. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I did that when I was 13, but like, we didn't have like, I guess we just started to have digital cameras. The iPod Touch was
Uh,
around then, you know.
was it?
It it's different than right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's got a phone. Everyone can
Oh yeah.
upload things. Like, I mean, like, things are just different. There's no
Uh-huh.
more ability to kind of stay out of it.
Yeah, I mean you can if you don't have a phone. I think Ed Sheeran, I just heard recently, doesn't have a cell phone.
That's
So
wild.
like, there are, I think Simon Cowell too. Um
I'm
but you can
sorry.
see still watch a lot of TV and listen to a lot of pop culture is where I get all my references. Anyway,
What
so
a
there, I mean,
privileged
right?
thing for someone to be like, I don't have a phone. People will just tell me if there's something. Like,
Well,
I'm
right. My
sorry.
mom,
I
my
have
mom
to.
has my mom has a cell phone. Good luck if you can text her maybe 3 days from now. She'll read it and see it because like she doesn't do the internet. She doesn't care about, being on a computer, like any of the stuff. And honestly, I think like, God, I mean, would be so much simpler if like you
Mhm.
didn't have that kind of access to everything all the time.
There was, oh God, it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna like pause the
Meanwhile,
recording
if I just
essentially.
get the next new cell phone, that would be cool.
Are you already looking for a new phone?
No, I just got my
Um,
I just been having the same phone. It gets kind of boring. The new
that's
version of the
fair.
Galaxy every time it comes out.
Okay, have you watched, speaking of pop culture references, I feel like in every episode we have to talk about some show I'm watching. Have you watched Yellow
Mm-hmm.
Jackets?
No, I've heard of it. I mean,
Okay.
I've also seen it on one of my streaming services, but I have not watched it.
Okay. It is so good. I
Mhm.
will give
Yeah.
zero spoilers here, but the general premise, which doesn't actually matter
Mhm.
for the sake of the story, but I want to give the general premise anyway, is that this high school girls soccer team was on their way to nationals, and there's a plane crash on the way to nationals. Some people survive the crash, some people do not. And then the story is told jumping from 1996 when the crash happened and they were all teenage girls to I think one, and what their lives are like as adults. And they do not talk
Mhm.
about what their lives were like after the plane crash. So we're like seeing it devolve into what that experience was like for them. It is so good. Like,
They don't.
it's
So
so
it's
good.
like the span of time. That's what they don't talk about. The span of time between the wreck and now.
So when they, yeah, so, and again, I don't think this is a spoiler because I think it's like episode one. Because
Mhm.
obviously you know that they at some point must have been rescued. They're back in society. When
Mhm.
they were rescued, they swore they would never tell anybody what that experience was like. They lived in the wild for 19
Ah,
months. So they don't talk about it.
I
So in
saw
the
Alive.
Yeah, so like in the
Mhm.
2021, you're seeing them as adults navigating this complicated world, and we're learning about this like trauma that they experienced.
Mhm.
It's so good, so good.
Yeah, maybe I'll start
Um,
watching it tonight.
season one's on Netflix, but seasons 1 through 3 are all on Paramount Plus. So
Oh, I have Paramount Plus. Yeah, I have all of them.
nice. I don't. I
Mhm.
use my mother-in-law's. So thanks,
Oh,
Lisa.
well.
But there is a quote. This is in season 2. This is again not a spoiler. I just needed to tell you about the show because it's so good. Someone willingly hands over their cell phone for a period of time. And the philosophy is devices leave us captive to other people's priorities.
Mhm. Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
damn, I like that.
yeah, that's true.
I really like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and it also, like the fact other people's social media, people will look like if I could have a life like that person, if I just had a
Mhm.
life like that person, but knowing that like that person has like curated, what they're gonna put on their social media, and like you don't know
Mhm.
not close to half of it what that person's life is like. So not only are we just looking at other things to have, but like it's not even a true picture of like
Mhm.
what happiness is.
Exactly. And we've
Hmm.
talked a lot about kind of what a thinking when this happens, of when like if just this happens or only when this happens will I XYZ. We've talked a lot about like people actively working towards it, even if like they'll never like end
Right.
at happiness. But we talked a little before we started recording too about the passive idea. Like I've treated a lot of clients that have this idea of, well, in the future it will be easier, because it's this idea of like, well, you know, in, I don't know, you know, when my dog's not a puppy anymore, then it won't have any more accidents. And so it's that idea of like, just when my dog is trained, and I have a hard time, not necessarily have a hard time, I spend time working with people on what are you doing to make that change? Like,
Right.
your dog won't
Are
suddenly
you training
be,
your dog?
exactly, your dog won't suddenly be 6 months old and potty trained. Like, what are you doing to get to that future place where you feel like you will feel better?
Right. Right. And especially like if they don't have the insight to know that like that's something they don't want to do. You know, like for example, I wouldn't get a new puppy because I know that I don't want to potty train a dog. If I were to get another dog, I would get a grown dog who is already potty trained. And I think that's the thing too, but not having the insight of like what your limitations are, what you're willing to put in, but just thinking that like, you know, something's great is going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to get there because I don't know, you know, and I'm not looking at what I have to do or can do or can't do, you know, and like just expecting that it's just going to land there great. Your dog's just going to magically be the best potty trained dog.
Yes, it will not happen
until potty train itself. I just saw some dogs. I don't know what I'm
wish.
pointing at, but I just saw some dogs.
Is Lennon over there? Is that what you're pointing at?
No, he's not. He's like behind there on my couch, I think. I just saw some dogs on I don't know, TikTok or something that where they use the toilet. I've seen cats do it, but I hadn't seen dogs do it before.
Seen cats do it, yeah.
So yeah, so you know, maybe if my dog just started using the bathroom, like using the toilet, he'll be so much easier. I wouldn't have to walk him. He wouldn't go bark at the other dog all the time.
Yes. If my house would just clean itself, then I would never need to. I think a lot, part of what I do to help people live more in that present moment, because life is not a dress rehearsal. There is no, okay, I'm getting ready for when greatness comes to me. You have to work to get there.
Right.
And that work is hard. And our future self sometimes hates our present self. It's our self that says, in the, you know, when I get home, I'm going to be so productive. I'm going to do the dishes and start the laundry and take a little walk with the dogs. But then when we get home, we're like, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to zone out and chill. It's been a long day, right? We have all these great plans for our future self, but we forget how to be empowered to get there.
Right. Yes.
So
I also think
I like left it on a weird note. I was going to keep going, but then I was like, wait, you might have something to share.
What I was going to share is that, like, you know, I think that you're mentioning what I think is a lot of the problem, which is balance. And really that's where happiness comes from, is knowing how to like live in the moment. The biggest thing that I try to work with people is that the only thing you have to know is that you are equipped to handle situations as they present themselves to you. Only thing you have to be able to know is like, how do I feel in this moment? And like, if I come home, if I'm like, I'm going to clean up my house, there's probably going to be times that I'm going to come home and clean my house. But if I come home and I'm like, I'm not cleaning my house tonight, I am just going to sit and watch TV. That's okay to do sometimes. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to be like, I'm tired. I'm going to lay on the couch and I'm just going to enjoy it. Because then if I beat myself up about it, then there is no balance, because I feel like, again, I just have to be productive all the time and I'm never taking time to rest. And so really, I think like that's the whole goal of happiness, is to be able to find, you know, meet yourself in the moment and trust in that, like, just because you feel tired in this moment doesn't mean you're going to feel tired tomorrow or tired the next day. That like being able to embrace a moment for what it is and not try to not plan like, I'm not making any plans for the future and I'm going to just get my PhD because I want it. But like not having to predict every little thing, every little stuff that's going to come. And I'm probably seeing this more because I'm working so much more with OCD clients lately. And like, you know, really how uncertainty is the theme of OCD, is like fear of uncertainty. And then once you are able to just live in uncertainty, trust in yourself to like, how do I feel in this moment? And not being afraid, like, oh, what if I always feel like this? Because and it's not our job to feel happy all the time. And that's, I think, another thing, I mean, that's why I like Inside Out, the first one, so much, is because like that's the whole main theme of the first Inside Out movie, is that like we are not meant to feel joy every moment, all the time.
Yeah. Things are much more rich when they're complicated.
Right.
DJ, I would love to kind of do a bit of a therapy role play. We did not plan for this, but
Oh, no, we didn't.
no, I want to walk through. So I want to give an example for folks on what, at least for me as a therapist, how I approach when someone has this idea of like things will be better in the future, right? And so we might have talked about it on the podcast before, called the miracle question. And the miracle question, I think, is a tried and true therapy. I don't know a single therapist who's like, oh, I hate the miracle question.
Right, right. It's a solution focused technique, I think, right?
It is part of solution focused therapy, or brief solution focused therapy, whichever vibe you have.
Right.
And the idea is asking a question in which a miracle occurs. So DJ, can you be my client for this?
Oh, sure.
Great. Can you think of like something, get into your client headspace and like think of whatever issue it might be. It's something that you're adjusting. What are you bringing to therapy? What is your presenting problem of the day?
Well, I've been working really hard trying to get my private practice going. I envision it with like a consultation department, lack of a better word right now, division, a therapy division and a supervision division. So, it's a lot of work getting everything going while I'm also doing therapy with people, writing notes, doing all the scheduling, all the things. So, if I had everything just up and running and working and had all the connections to be able to do a lot of consulting, I think that's what I'd like to do most of. Like if I just had that going, then I think my days would be a lot easier.
Gotcha. So in this future self, it sounds like everything is figured out, right? Everything is quote up and going. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My website, I have a website. It's not really, there's, you could look at it. There's not really anything on it right now. I have links to pages with nothing there, so if like that was up and like, people could easily find me and like, they were like, hey, DJ, we'd like you to go speak here. And like, I was like the next Brene Brown, that would be great.
Amazing. Okay. So we're looking at this future, right? If everything was just up and running, if everything was just already put in place. So DJ, tonight when you go to bed, you will fall asleep. And then when you're asleep, a miracle is going to occur. And you will be living your Justine life, right? Everything will be up and running. Everything will be put together. But no one tells you that the miracle happens. And so in the morning, you wake up. How will you know a miracle occurred? What would be different? Besides your website.
My phone would be ringing a lot. People would be calling me, hey, can you... I just watched the Natalia Grace drama with Meredith Grey. Oh, God, that's not her name. Ellen Pompeo. And anyway, she was like in high demand. People were calling for her book and stuff, even though she was a horrible human, the character, the real life person. But like that, I imagine like it would be like that. Like my phone is like ringing and like agents are calling me and like, hey, we want to represent you. And, like,
okay.
We have like this speaking engagement for you to go to and the speaking engagement. You get to travel all over the place. Yeah. That's how I know.
Awesome.
My phone's ringing off the hook.
Okay. So you're getting people reaching out to you, ensuring like your success that way. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you be doing differently?
Why does that feel like such a hard question? I would be like less sitting in front of my computer and less like not even being able to get to the things that I want to do because like my day-to-day work takes so much time.
Okay. So you would be acting different after this miracle occurs because you would be like doing the work that you're enjoying doing instead of kind of spending all of this extra time.
Yes.
In preparation.
Trying to which I haven't. Can't. I feel like I don't have the extra time to do the work I need to do.
Because you're stuck in that like preparation and everything mode.
Yeah. Well, I'm stuck in like my everyday being a therapist job because I have to pay my bills now.
This is true, right? And when the miracle happened, it didn't magically pay all the bills and give you like a good salary. Yeah.
Right.
So in this miracle, you're spending more time doing the things that you're passionate about.
Yes. In the miracle, I'm spending more time doing the things that I want to be doing, not the things that I'm preparing to do the things that I want to do.
Okay. How do you think you can incorporate a little bit of that miracle in your life now? Because I ran out of magic fairy dust, so I don't think I can make a miracle happen tonight. But I'm curious what you can do differently tomorrow that'll feel much more like that miracle occurred.
I mean, tomorrow, busy day, so nothing's gonna happen tomorrow.
The
Maybe
proverbial
if
tomorrow.
if I get caught up on my notes, then I could spend a weekend, preparing my website and
So did you hear it there?
reaching out to some consultation.
If I could just catch up with my notes, then I will do all these things. How can you put effort towards doing those things before hitting that the magic just that as well as I do? There will always be notes.
Spending the time. I know that's the thing. There'll always be notes. I do have some of my notes that I get help with AI. That's nice.
Love AI notes. Oh, so good.
That's great.
So it sounds like prioritizing is going to be a big part of living your miracle. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's a way between now and the next time I see you, because that's a very brief solution focused phrase, between now and the next time I see you, what will you do to prioritize doing the things that you want to do?
Great question, Dee. I just need more time.
I don't have that.
I'm going to try and make more time. It won't happen. I'm going to try and make more time to be able to do the things that I want to do extra and above what I'm already doing.
If you were my client, I'd continue to challenge you and say, let's make that a SMART goal. Let's set a time.
I could make it a SMART goal. Yeah. So much work. Yes. I mean, I know the things I have to do to get there. I hear you.
Beautiful. All right. Cut. End scene. So one of the reasons I wanted to show that is really just portray like what the questioning looks like and how we can do that ourselves. When we hear ourselves using this passive upcoming happiness, that we're on the cusp of happiness, instead asking ourselves, what will I be doing different? How will I get there? Notice nothing that you said was like, well, magically have a web designer and all these resources to pull upon, right? But the first thing you said was like, you would feel happier and more fulfilled if you spent the time on the things that you want to do versus the things you have to do. And so as a therapist, I go into like, all right, so our real issue here isn't the ongoing to-do list, which will always be there, but instead on prioritization. Right. So that's part of the discovery process.
And realistically, like part of our problem as therapists is that like our job doesn't just end when we leave a session. So it is one of those jobs that like when things it's never done. Like when people ask me like, are you busy? And I'm teaching too. My answer is I'm always busy. My job is never done. There's always something I could be doing. I have to for me, what I've learned to have to prioritize is to not be working. And so like, that's the balance but I think it matters. And again, it's like, am I okay right now? I'm okay right now, and like, do I want to make sure I'm still prioritizing play and I'm still prioritizing friendships and I'm still prioritizing those things? Yes. Am I going to be okay with like, it's going to take me a minute to get things up and running, and I think for those things is like how I figure out, how can I be happy now while I'm still working for the next thing?
Exactly. Yes. And that's why you're a bad client for me, is because you already have it figured out, right? I love it. So yeah, making sure that we're keeping that happiness, because otherwise we're just always going to be burnt out. We're always going to spend time looking for the next bigger and better and the next just. There will always be a next bigger and better and just. But
it's okay to have goals, right?
Absolutely.
It's okay to have goals, but knowing that like you can be happy now, you don't have to wait to be happy until you accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Exactly. Yes. Making sure, taking the time to be in the now, stay in the now, and be compassionate. Like you're going to kick your goals' ass. Just work towards them, but celebrate when you hit that win. Like don't then compare yourself to, what's next. Like
exactly.
take a moment to celebrate what you got so far.
Good.
I want to challenge our listeners, besides challenge to share this, like this, comment on this, tell other people you're watching, help people find this, what I think is a pretty fly podcast. But I want to challenge people to think about, like, what's an area of your life where you're adjusting, where you're thinking about, like, you're on the cusp of happiness, but not taking an active role in that process. And I want you to think about it and challenge it and to consider, am I adjusting in all of this? That's my challenge.
That's a good one.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you have a fantastic week. Spend some time celebrating the win and knowing that you are not broken and you are worthy, and go forth and find happiness. Be happy. And we will catch you next time on Let's Pick This Up next week. See you guys.